Hello everybody, welcome back. As previously mentioned, we will be continuing the topic of types of businesses, and since last time we spoke about sole traders, today we're going to speak about the next type of business that exists, which is a partnership. So to start with, what is it? What is a partnership? So it is a type of business where two or more people, usually I think it's limited between 2 and 20, because more than 20 members kind of means that you're sort of like shareholders of a business, just that you don't have shares to divide. But usually in most of the countries it's 2 or above, but it's limited to 20. So we will go with 2 to 20 people who come together to form a business and decide to put together all their resources. So that includes money, the skills they have, any other resource that they have, and it could include other people that they know, other specialized people that they know that could help the business in growing. And not only do they share all these assets that they have, but also they do share the profits and losses in a business. And lastly, they also do share the responsibilities for any assets and liabilities for the business that they're forming, for the business that they're actually building. So if the business itself to set up required $100,000, and if there are two partners, then each would be responsible for $50,000 each. And same goes with the liabilities. So if the business owes the bank $50,000 or euros or pounds due to a loan that they had taken, the partners had taken, then each owes them 25,000. Now, we also need to consider the advantages and disadvantages of having a partnership or building a partnership together. Because as I mentioned before, sometimes it's not usually between two people, it's 2 or more. So you could have 5 partners and 5 of them will equally be responsible. So if we go back to the example of sharing assets and liabilities, so if you do have a 50,000 loan amongst 5 people, each of them will be responsible for paying back to the bank 10,000 each. So the advantages and disadvantages would be, well, the first one is obviously that there are more people that are contributing towards the business. So there are more brains or more minds working towards helping the business. So that could involve coming up with a solution with a current problem, or just making a business plan. In any way or in any case, the more brains that are working towards a business, the better. Because sometimes the idea of one person coming together or combining it with the idea of another person could actually form the best of business plans or the best of business solutions for any problems that they're facing. However, it's also true that just like the sole trader, partnerships remain with unlimited liability. Now what that means is, so if we take the previous example of the business itself owing the bank 50,000 euros, if for some reason the business goes in a loss and they are unable to pay to the bank has all the right to go to each partner's house and take over any assets that they own. So that could be their TV, their fridge, their car, the house itself, depending on the type of loan that they have, the amount of the loan, and of course the value of the asset that the bank is taking over. Unlike businesses, actual businesses like a limited company, which we will go through in the next session, in those cases, if the business does lose a lot of money and shuts down, whatever money that it owes to the bank can only retain that money from the assets of the business itself. So if the business has if there's a company truck, the bank can take over the company truck. Or if there are 5 desktops in the small business, the bank can take over those desktop computers. However, the bank cannot go to any of the shareholders' house to take over their money in order to recover their loss. So here in a partnership, all the partners run the risk of risking their own personal belongings in order to set up the business. Because if the business does lose money or goes bankrupt, the bank can go to their house and take over their belongings in order to recover their money. Now, the next advantage that we have is the shared responsibilities. So obviously, in this case, unlike a sole trader, one person does not need to handle the entire business. There are two or more people who are running the business, and at any given point, if one of them needs to leave the country or one of them needs to go away from the business for a while due to any personal reasons, there is still a second person or more than a second person handling the business. Apart from that, if we're growing the business, say, let's take an example. Let's say we have a partnership between two people. Okay, Anna and Elsa. Now, Anna and Elsa, if they are planning to grow their business, Anna does not have the entire responsibility of handling the growth. So Anna, for example, can handle the marketing and finance department, and Elsa, on the other hand, can handle the HR department. In that way, both partners are working towards specific areas of the business in which they're good at, and they're sharing their responsibilities. This comes in very handy when you know that the business is going to grow and you know that your partner is good in a specific area. So if two people come together in which they know that one of them is good in a specific area of the business and the other one in another area of the business, both of them coming together can come in very handy because the business is growing and each one is specializing in their own department. Now, the disadvantage that definitely comes along with this, and I think we all agree with this one clearly, is that there are going to be disagreements. There are times where even though your partner is specialized in a specific area, you as the second partner of the business want to give your opinion, and you may seem that something's not right, and you may tell your partner, but because your partner is so good or thinks that he or she is so good at their job, they may not want to listen to you, which can create a lot of conflict. Is this conflict manageable? Definitely. It's easier to manage a conflict between two people rather than many shareholders, for example, in a business. However, of course, the disagreements do occur more often as they're just two people deciding, and say both of them have no clue about what's going on and they're not specialized at all. That creates a worse situation because they really don't know what to do, and if anything goes wrong, they blame each other for taking the wrong decision in the first place and not considering any other options. Now, the next advantage that we have is that there is obviously more capital available. So with a sole trader, the sole trader has options of using their savings, maybe going to a bank, which is more risky. Banks usually don't really trust sole traders because they know that they're one single person and may not be able to handle everything or gain the biggest profits of all time. And the sole trader can maybe take help from their family members or friends, a limited group of people that they know. Now, when two or more people come together for a partnership, we obviously now have two or more people contributing their own savings. The bank relies a bit more on them because they know that two or more people are coming together, so there must be something cooking in their brains or in their minds, which is why they're trying to set up a business. And of course, two or more people usually have more contacts that can help them raise more funds for the business, raise more capital for the business. So their own family members plus other friends and relatives that they have. Now, because everyone is sharing their own money and contributing towards the business equally, that definitely means that if the business grows and gains a lot of profits, all the profits are shared. So if you do get a profit of 20,000 euros, 10,000 goes to each one of them. And sometimes, going back to the previous disadvantage, the previous bullet point, sometimes there is also a disagreement whether each partner should keep all the money that they deserve or take a bit aside to contribute it towards the business growth, so to reinvest it. So say you have a profit of 20,000 euros and each one deserves to get 10,000 each. However, one of the partners says, well, maybe we should get 8,000 each and leave 4,000, so 2,000 each aside to reinvest it in the business. And one of the partners can completely disagree or agree with that It all depends on the type of partners that you are and the relationship you have with each other outside business terms. But yes, definitely all the profits are shared. The last advantage that I have is obviously it is a very simple structure. Is it more complicated than a sole trader? Slightly, but not that complicated as compared to a business where there are more shareholders and more complex regulations. The rules and regulations for a partnership remain as they are for a sole trader, so they're fairly simple. So it is very simple to set up, run, and manage overall when it comes to the law side. So the legal side, it is simple to manage and to handle. However, there is a very big disadvantage that some partnerships may take this as a huge disadvantage, others may not consider it that much, which is that each partner needs to be first registered as a sole prop and then come together as a partnership. So they need to come up with a partnership name, with a business name for the partnership, register as a partnership, but individually each partner needs to be first registered as a sole proprietor, and that's how they are taxed. They are taxed individually, which can be a very big disadvantage because each one now needs to pay from their own benefits, which may not seem very fair, but again, this is sort of like a more advanced version of a sole trader, just that you have more people contributing towards the business. So you can't really complain much because it is very easy to handle. Now, you can decide whether you would really fancy setting up a partnership or not. But for today, that's it. Thank you very much for stopping by, and hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.